Welcome back to AFTV. Now, Arsenal have got their Premier League business done for January, but there's still transfer business to do, Robbie. And it seems that Arteta's confirmed that there is still more to do. So we're going to explore all that. Well, it's been a while since we've been on the show together.
Yep.
Lots to talk about, but we had to have you on because obviously it's very transfer centered, all this.
Yeah, lots of news flashing around today. Of course, we're right in the middle of the transfer window. We're starting to draw to the end. I think, 6 days to go? Mm-hmm. Transfer window closes next week.
Are you looking forward to having your Lions back?
Yeah, have my life back, man. Get sleep. Don't have to be waking up at 5 in the morning and doing research. But, listen, I always love a transfer window. And I think, actually, this transfer window, this is one of the first times I can remember Arsenal being so active so early, in a January transfer window. I think we made a couple of very good signings, very shrewd signings. But do we need more now? I mean, this news that's coming out today about Mohamed El-Neni is very, very concerning, For the people out there who don't know the news, is that Mikel Arteta admitted at his press conference that Mohamed El-Neni is going to be out for longer than he thought.
Yeah. Shall I give you the exact quote?
Yeah,
so on if Mohamed El-Neni, remember, lead judges exclusively revealed that El-Neni was injured, and I said to him on Forever Arsenal, I said, well, thank you very much for confirming that.
Yeah, because he sits about 2 seats away from El-Neni's brother. I've sat with him before, and El-Neni's brother is a really nice guy, sits just a couple of seats away from Lee.
Yeah, well, there you go. So El-Neni's injured. Asked if El-Neni will be fit, Arteta responded, I don't think he will be. He had some issues with his knee that we are assessing at the moment. I'll have to see how he evolves in the next couple of days. Now, that sounds okay until this bit. And then when asked if it could be a long-term injury, Arteta said there are some concerns, especially as Mo never complains about anything. But let's see. I thought that was strange because the first quote sounds, look, we'll see. I don't think he'll be available, but we'll assess. And then it's almost like he's saying, well, at the moment there's nothing to worry about, but I'm not saying that there definitely isn't going to be anything to worry about because El-Neni isn't the type to normally, have these complaints about injuries, which suggests that it could be something a bit more long-term, Robbie. Yeah,
well, listen, and then we're hearing, rumours flying around that he could possibly be out until the end of the season, which, number one, on a human level, I'd be gutted for him, because he's been a great servant to Arsenal. Excuse me. He was injured at the start of the season, and if he's going to be injured again, I mean, I feel sorry for him because obviously we're having a great season, and you'd want to see him playing a role, and I think he would have a big role to play. But if he is going to be out, Arsenal need to go and get somebody in to replace him. And Mikel Arteta said they're looking for a midfielder. I think if El-Neni's out, they have to get a midfielder. And obviously on Transfer Daily over the past couple of days, there's been lots of rumours about defensive midfielders. There was Zubimendi, who's the youngster who plays for Real Sociedad. A very, very talented player, been described as the new Busquets over there in Barcelona. Barcelona, by the way, very interested in signing him.
Yeah.
But he's been heavily linked to Arsenal. Now, I was really surprised the other day when I read that Arsenal apparently approached Real Sociedad and were willing to pay his £52 million release clause. And I was like, wow, Arsenal, they're going to spend that amount of money now? Because there have been all these rumours linking us with a summer move for Declan Rice. And I was like, if they go and get this guy for £52 million, are they then going to go and move to try and get Declan Rice in as well? So I was really surprised by that. But now I'm starting to hear this El-Neni news. Maybe I'm a little less surprised now, Isn't
it? Sorry to cut you, Robbie. Isn't it funny how this is mirroring the summer window? We knew we needed a forward, Jesus, Trossard. Then there's a surprise package in Kivior, Vieira. Kind of, we weren't thinking of a centre-back. We weren't thinking of a number 10, but Arteta wanted the depth. And now we're entering, and El-Neni, just like in the summer, has got injured and could be missing a key/lengthy part of the season, and it's forcing Arsenal to act a little bit more than perhaps we expected. And I haven't seen so many links and rumours to midfielders in the last year and a half that we've needed a midfielder.
Yeah. Today, on my Transfer Daily show, I spoke about Amadou Onana, who, remember, he only just signed for Everton, in the summer. Now, he was a player that we were looking at the time. I like him. He's big, strong, but he's decent on the ball.
Like him.
Love the way he drives out of midfield, Belgium international. Are Everton going to sell him, though? Right? Everton are in turmoil at the moment. You know what I mean? They lost out on Danjuma, Arnott Danjuma, who signed for Tottenham today. The rumours are that he'd even taken the pictures.
I heard
Everton.
He shook Calvert-Lewin's hand.
Took the pictures, shook Calvert-Lewin's hand, had done his medical.
Yeah.
And then up and left and went to Tottenham. So,
Can you imagine?
there's already that. There's the news that came out yesterday that, was saying that Fayad Mashiri, who incidentally, remember, he used to be at Arsenal, was looking to sell Everton, which he's since denied. They're going to lose their starlet, Gordon.
Looking like Newcastle.
It looks like he could end up at Newcastle. There's been Chelsea been suggested as well. On top of that, would they sell Onana? I just can't see it. I mean, listen, money talks, because there's talk that Arsenal could offer 50 million, and that would be 30 million more than what they paid for him. But the fans would, I know some Everton fans, they would go ballistic if that happened. I mean, or have they just had so much beatdown recently that they just take it? I don't know.
I love Onana as a profile. We've got a list of midfielders here, and Onana's one of them I've got written down. You mentioned Zubimendi as well. See, with Onana, I like him because he's clearly a good ball carrier, good dribbler. He's got that presence, but he has played as a 6, and I think has even played centre-back before. So he seems to cover the areas of the pitch that Arsenal need covering. And I think a little bit like in the summer, where the links were with Tielemans and all that, who do we end up getting close to? It's Douglas Luiz, because as the El Neni injuries happen, they realised they want a little bit more cover for 6.
And we didn't get Douglas Luiz.
We didn't get him, exactly. So, and now he signed a new deal. So this is going to be a really fascinating, developing story over the next 5-6 days. We don't actually kick a ball in the Premier League till a good couple of days after the window shuts. We've obviously got the Man City game in the FA Cup. Onana was one of the names. Zubimendi, Rice you've mentioned, but that feels like a summer one.
No chance to get Declan Rice. Again, there'd be a revolt by West Ham fans. I think all West Ham fans know that in the summer he's gone. But right now, in the middle of a season, when they're in a relegation battle, remember, I know they won against Everton at the weekend, but they are still in that relegation dogfight. There is absolutely no way on this earth that they're going to sell Declan Rice, or again the fans will march on the stadium.
West Ham won't, because I feel like they're coming from a higher ceiling in that they've just been playing the last 2 years in Europe. They've even got, or last year in Europe, they've got this season as well. Declan Rice, one of their star players. They've got a lot of expensive players that they're going to back to get them out of it. But with Everton, they have sacked Lampard. They've gone through many managers. They've had, they've not really been able to sign players properly. You think of
they do
Benitez
need the money.
Getting Gray for 2 million was basically the best business they could do. Maybe they might go, because they've got a lot of midfielders. They've got Tom Davis, they've got James Garner, Idrissa Gueye, Iwobi's played in central midfield. They might look at it and go, if this is our best asset and we're quite covered in this position,
but
maybe we do it.
And if they do that and they go down, they're in a precarious position at the moment.
Yeah.
Remember, listen, it's still 19 games played this season. They still got a big chance to get themselves out of the mess. Do they say to themselves, we take that 50 million or, go and reinvest it in somebody else? Or maybe they're desperate for a striker. I don't know. I see it as unlikely that he'll go, but I think it would be a great signing. I'm trying to think of loan moves that Arsenal can make for a midfielder.
Rabiot.
And again, is Rabiot a defensive midfielder though?
No, not
It's not really. He's more of a box to box. I mean, when France played in the World Cup, Rabiot. Listen, and I see lots of people.
I'm not actually suggesting him really. I just after what happened with Man United last summer, I just sort of think he's probably in Juve. He's at Juve, right?
He is Rabiot. I think he's in the last year of his contract, so he could be available. I'm sure he's in the last 6 months of his contract.
What about
this is a very interesting one here in the comments section. Let me just see if I can find it, scroll it down. This is from Giovanna, and he says, if El Neni is out for the rest of the season, should we consider recalling Charlie Patino? Remember, the likes of Barca and Real Madrid are trying to lure him away from us. He's been having a great time down in Blackpool, really learning his trade, has been really doing well, even though Blackpool have been struggling this season.
It's a no from me, if I'm honest.
I think let him stay and finish off his development.
Yeah, that's all.
Coming into the hotbed of, where we are now. Listen, he's been having a great season, so you never know. But I think you need someone a bit more experienced in that position. Although I'm talking about Onana, he's not exactly experienced, is he? So,
well, I think Patino is made for being the understudy to Xhaka next season. The whole left-footed nature, but he's got a bit more guile about him, and I think could really be good in that left 8 box-to-box role. And I think he's made for that. Let him keep developing at Blackpool. For now, you bring in a midfielder that we need anyway, because El Neni's contract runs out in the summer.
Yep.
Partey is nearing 30. He's still got many, many more years of football to play, but we know he's had injury problems as well. So I think you want to be getting real dependable cover anyway. Do it now. Okay, maybe Rice in the summer, but get someone who can do a job now. And then the 8 position is taken care of by Xhaka, Patino returning, Smith Rowe could maybe develop into that position. I know you hate it, you're going to laugh. Zinchenko's played there before. Like, you can figure it out, right? Like, I think they'd be okay. I flip-flop all the time about whether we need more of a 6 or more of an 8. Before El Neni's injury, I was saying get an 8, get some good depth for Xhaka. But if El Neni is to be it has got a significant injury, it's going to rule him out for a long time. You need a specialist 6 that can come.
You need a 6. I'm looking on it. I'm saying, listen, we already know the injury record. That Thomas Partey's had. Thank God he's been a lot fitter and stronger this season. But you still don't want to use him in every game. And we're moving towards that period of the season once that transfer window closes, when the Europa League returns. That's Thursday, Sunday. We know the drill. You don't want to be flogging Thomas Partey, who's such an important player for us in that period. I think it's critical that we try and bring in somebody who can play that number 8 position. There's players in that team who could play that number 8. You know what I mean? You've got, I think Fabio Vieira could possibly play in there. I think, or definitely, Emile Smith-Rowe can play in that position. There's a dearth of players who can play in that, a golfer players who can play in that. But I just feel that number 6 position, it's only El Neni who has that defensive discipline to sit in there. He's not Thomas Partey. He doesn't break the lines and that, but he's a very capable defensive midfielder. If he's out for any long period of time, we have to bring in somebody to replace him. Who that person is, well, this is what Arteta's going to have to, and Edu are going to have to figure out.
Well, exactly. This was his quote when asked about it. He said, "We need some more cover in midfield, ideally if we can, but in this market it is pretty complicated to do that. As I always say, the most important thing is that we get the performances and the time on the pitch that we need with the players we have available today that are already really good." I think he's trying to play down any hopes of a midfielder coming in, but I think also being quite clear, look, we do want to do some business, but it doesn't have that same impact as when he was saying in interviews and press conferences, we're short, we need numbers, we need players.
Brandon Gomez there with a super chat making a suggestion. This is the player that I spoke about a week ago when I was sort of in my transfer daily. I do like a little scouting thing that I do sometimes where I make a suggestion of a player that I think, why not go after? He's making a suggestion from the same player, and that is Frank Kessie of Barcelona. Now, Kessie only went to Barcelona this season. He signed for Barcelona in the summer, had a really successful campaign at AC Milan. Top player, really, really good player. Now, he is more of a box-to-box midfielder, but he can play that defensive midfielder role. I do think he's a player that could possibly be available because he's hardly figured for Barcelona. He really is hardly figured. Is he a player that Arsenal could possibly go and maybe even get on a loan move to bring him? Because I really do think this could be complicated this signing by the Declan Rice thing. And we've been hearing this from multiple sources that Arsenal want to get Declan Rice in the summer. Now, if you go and you splash out big money on a defensive midfielder, what does that do for the signing of a Declan Rice? That's going to cost you 80 million plus.
The title challenge is now. That's the thing.
The title challenge is now.
This is
the dilemma. That's what I'm saying. If you could go and get a Frank Kessie on loan from now till the end of the season, he may even be available to buy because as I said, it's not worked out for him at all at Barcelona. And I know KD saying Xavi said Kessie's not available. He's in his plans. I've heard Xavi say that before about other players. Barcelona at the moment are skint. Yeah, he said that about Aubameyang. He said that he's in his plans. We don't want Aubameyang to go. Aubameyang went. Barcelona are skint right now. That's the truth of the matter. They need money. They banked on getting into the Champions League. They have not made the Champions League. I think Kessie is a player that is gettable. He is not exactly a DM, as I said, but I think he's gettable, and I'd be happy with that.
I think that's exactly what Arteta and Edu are trying to really finally balance. Who can we find that can cover in the 6 expertly for Partey when needed, but can also play in an 8 alongside him? Because let's not act like the cover for Xhaka is brilliant. Okay, yep, you're right. Smith Rowe, Vieira, I chucked in Zinchenko. You got Lokonga still there. But you don't look at any of them and go, okay, if you play Zinchenko in that midfield, I think he could play brilliantly in that attacking sort of box-to-box midfield role. But then you're losing something at left-back. We know how important Zinchenko's been there. So it doesn't feel like even in that situation we've got really ideal cover. So it's finding that balance. When I saw Douglas Luiz score that goal at Tottenham at the start of this month where he ran into the box, took a lovely touch and flicked it beyond Lloris, I thought that is just perfect box-to-box midfield play. I see why they wanted him, because he's also more naturally known as a 6. So who is out there that can cover, is predominantly a 6, but can play box-to-box as an 8, or is predominantly box-to-box and an 8, but is happy to just be allowed to sit in front of the back four? It's a really difficult job, because more than ever, I know there's versatility in players, but players are so specialised now, aren't they? You know, like Rodri. Rodri is an unreal defensive midfielder, but you wouldn't think, oh, well, he's probably a brilliant box-to-box. You just wouldn't see him there. Or he could probably play kind of a creative midfield role. I've got no doubt he's got the quality, but you just don't see it because you get these specialists in positions. And so it makes it very hard for Arteta and Edu right now.
Yeah, Fabio Fabulous says Danilo was available for 18 million. That's true. He's gone to Nottingham Forest, but
they fell out of love with him, didn't they?
Yeah, and also remember there's been a change of circumstances. Bit like, as James said, a bit like in the summer, when all of a sudden El Neni got injured and we tried to move him for Douglas Luiz. It's almost like the exact same situation. Sarful says maybe Ben White for a number 6. I've heard that suggested many times.
If we get Fresneda.
Do we want to mess with the balance of the team? I don't. Listen, Ben White has been brilliant as a right back. Leave him as a right back. That's my thing on it. Owen Campbell says Declan Rice is overrated. Typical English hype. Owen, I'm being honest with you, as a player that I've seen in the flesh many a times, I rate Declan Rice. And it's not just because we've been linked with it. I've been saying for a long time, this guy is good. He's very good. And I think if he was playing in a better team like Arsenal, he'll be even better. I would love to see Declan Rice. Listen, it would be about £80 million. Probably you look on it and say, is he worth that? But I think he's a top player. He's consistent. He does it week in, week out. I don't know about you, James. I'd love to see Declan Rice at Arsenal.
I love Declan Rice, and actually, he is someone who I was only watching his game with Everton. He can play box to box, that driving run into the box, put it wide.
He can play multiple positions.
He can even play centre back. Let's not forget, when you're a team like Arsenal that have a lot of the ball. Look at Zinchenko, grew up at number 10, and he's playing left back. Why? Because he knows he's ultimately going to be on the ball a lot, and he doesn't mind it. I think with Declan Rice might be a similar thing. Rice, Saliba maybe needs a rest or can't play. Maybe Rice can slot in at centre back. You know what? He won't mind because he's just distributing possession, playing, and enjoying himself. I think a player like Rice would do two things. A, cover us in several positions with someone who is more than proven he can do it in the Premier League. But B, I think it sends a bit of a statement. You know, a player like Rice was linked to Man United and Chelsea and even Liverpool for the last few years, and you know, waiting for the move. Imagine Arsenal with everything they've done, the turnaround, come in and go, yeah, we'll pick him up for 70 million, and he goes, that's where I want to be.
And on top of that, the fact that
Change the tide.
You know, next year, you know, hopefully we could be competing for Champions League.
Exactly.
So somebody like Declan Rice, it'd be his first time in the Champions League. Well, I think it'd be a great signing. Matt Tompkin is suggesting Ibrahim Sangara of PSV, available for 35 to 40 million euros, he's saying. Around about 35 million pounds. Good player. I
didn't think he looked that good at the Emirates, but I think in the away game...
Yeah, in the away game he looked good.
Yeah.
What 607 says, any midfield suitable out there? Camavinga from Real Madrid. Well, they have said Real Madrid.
Yeah.
You know, Ancelotti said it. His agent said it. Said he's not going anywhere. He'd be perfect. He would be perfect. There was the talk about a week ago that we were going to try and get him on loan. Don't think that's going to happen right now. Bradsky James says, thoughts on Zubamendi rumours, lads?
I love that style of player, and he could
You like
cover...
him, don't you, the Zubamendi?
Yeah, and by the way, I'm no expert. This isn't someone who watches Sociedad every week, but you know,
They're having a great season though, Sociedad, isn't it?
Yeah, they've had for a few years. They've been competitive, and they win their first Copa del Rey a few years ago, and Nacho Monreal as well. I think he's the kind of player I really like. You know, can play in you know, in the 6 and the 8. So I completely understand why we've been linked with him.
Yep. Kevin Branch with a super chat says, I don't understand why we don't just hijack McKennie. Try to convince Zubamendi, or wait till El Neni comes back and just sign Chiesa for 20 million, bro. I've seen his Chiesa for 20 million. If Chiesa's available for 20 million, you've got to get him. But I just can't. He's not going to go for 20 million. And then
the Chiesa thing doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. Weston McKennie.
Right, so
I don't think we need him.
This morning, all I was reading was it's sort of done. He's basically going to Leeds. And then, in the spirit of Danjuma to Leeds, a bit of a hijack was suggested by Italian reports saying that Arsenal have actually come in and said, look, we're interested, let's talk some details. So, McKennie, again, 6'1", international experience, played at Juve, can play as a defensive midfielder as an 8. The YouTube highlights look all right.
No, absolutely. Listen, I saw him playing at the World Cup. Saw him in the flesh. Good player. Not a defensive midfielder, though, was he? He was playing more like a wide player.
Was he?
I mean, yeah. Nah, it's not for me.
Well, what about Caicedo? That's been talked about. You know, they're saying 100 million Brighton want, and
not
that's
worth it, man. Listen, Caicedo looks good. I like him. Looks really good player. He's reminds me a lot of Kante. 100 million.
He's superb on the ball, isn't he?
No chance for me, man. That for me is way overpriced. It's another Brighton masterclass. You know what I mean? It would cost about 70, 80 million to get him away. I mean, Chelsea have been trying to get him, and even they can't get him at the moment. So,
well, no wonder they can't get him, because they're happy to pay 100 million most of the time, and now they've gone back in for Enzo Fernandez. They go, sorry about that really embarrassing negotiation a couple of weeks ago.
Enzo Fernandez on a 30-year contract, probably knowing them.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Here you go. Let's tie you for life.
Syed says there's something that amazes me, and that is that everyone hates us and doesn't want us to win the league title. What do you think? Well, listen, when they're talking about you like that, they're a bit frightened, and that's good. And Hunter says, as an American, McKennie would be a great signing. He can play a 6 or an 8. He's also played winger or wing back. I see him more as a number 8. Hunter, when he was playing in the World Cup, I'm sure he was playing as a wide player. I don't know. Listen, there's a lot of players that can play in certain, but that position, that number 6 position, is so important to Arsenal in the way and the style in which we play. That person's got to be good on the ball. He's got to be press resistant, and he's got to have a good passing range, and he's got to be able to tackle. And I don't see that in Weston McKennie. He's a very good player, but I just don't see that. Ross Merger says, too bad Guendouzi's on good terms with Mikel. He'd be handy right now. Ross Merger. Guendouzi.
Oh.
Remember him?
That guy.
Why not recall Patino? Who needs McKennie? Says Bradsky James with another super chat. By the way, thank you for all of these. You are really flooding them in today.
Yeah.
Don Robbie Defstair says, I love and hate this window. I'll work out between sets. I'll be furiously refreshing Twitter for some news. I get an itch blood. I think I'm ill. I think he's trying to describe me.
That's the worst thing about the January transfer. Do you know how often? I'm doing it mid-show. For anyone, if Robbie's ever talking to me, I'm looking away. It's not because I'm bored, honestly. It's because I just have to refresh, because anything can break at any moment, and obviously we want to keep you up to date with it. But it's just a constant, just the flick, to refresh Twitter, because you never know what's going on. People say things in the comments, so I'm like, I should have a little look, and I do fall for some of them. But it's painful, and that's why I really do enjoy the period of no transfers. We just don't have to think about it.
Owen Campbell says, off topic, Robbie, I have to give you your props. I just knew you were going to do a video titled, Do We Need Mudryk? Like you did with Rafinha. Fair play, bruv. Travis says, loving the show whilst prepping my homemade fish cakes. Oh, sounds good, man. Can we get some? Amri Nail says, if we play City with a B team, will that prompt Arsenal to pause on any signings, seeing that a B team can still compete with a big team? Well, I think he's suggesting that, say we went up there at the weekend, played a lot of, sort of second string players, and they did well. Like Sambi Lokonga. But I just don't think Sambi Lokonga, I've seen him many times now in that position of number 6, and he just, not for me. Not for me.
In fact,
I think he's more of a box-to-box guy. And he's been linked with a move away as well, hasn't he?
With the move, apparently, according to Mail Sport, I believe. Arsenal projected a loan move for Lokonga, which I think tells you that they are concerned about this El Neni injury, because I think if they had El Neni and then maybe were confident of getting another in, they probably would have sanctioned that loan move. I don't think Arteta's done anything, especially in the Premier League, to suggest that he's actually got faith in Lokonga. You think, why not bring him on in certain games where you need to see it out against Tottenham or whatever? But he's not been turning to him. He's been happy to leave Xhaka and Partey to get the job done. We know Partey's injury prone, and who's he called upon? It's El Neni. So I have a feeling that he would have sanctioned that loan if it not for the El Neni injury. But this has just come through. Again, this is why I refreshed Twitter. This is literally...
What you got now?
12 minutes ago.
Yeah.
In the Telegraph, Sam Dean. Arsenal could challenge Chelsea for Brighton's £75 million Moises Caicedo. We literally talked about this, probably as it was getting written up. I was watching the show and went,
I would be shocked. Listen, anything can shock you in this transfer window, because there's been a few deals that have been done which I've been like, wow, I didn't see that coming. I didn't see the Kivior one coming at all. But I'd be shocked if Caicedo, it's so expensive.
I would be amazed. I really would be amazed.
Be a great signing, but it would shock me. I have to be honest. Big up Michael Anderson. He says AFTV should send a video supporting the Ugandan Gooners to every newspaper in Africa. We're a worldwide family. An injury to one is an injury to all. Did you see that? There's some fans in Uganda, right? Arsenal fans, and they were celebrating the win over Man United, and they got arrested and that. Freedom, and leave them alone, right? Just because we're sticking it to United, leave those Ugandan fans alone. We've got a lot of Arsenal fans in Uganda as well. I want to big them all up, man. What the hell was those police United fans, are they? What's going on?
Really.
But and Will Green says, can Zinni play as a 6 if we're desperate?
Not a 6. I think an 8. Not as a 6 for me. I think he can.
We'd have to listen. We spend money, we get the proper players in. Boris Vukovic says, what about an SMS? Sergey Milinkovic Savic would be great. Would be. He's not really a 6. A DM either. He's more of a box-to-box guy as well. Woo607 says, out of curiosity, McAllister from Brighton, not available. He would be perfect in our lineup. Not a 6. I want you guys to think of 6s. John Ramon says, as an American, the other American is waffling. McKennie is not good. Don't let you hear I saw his dad had a go at somebody who was saying, the same thing. Balboa 84 says, in the place we are right now, Why can't we get both Declan and Bellingham? I say we get both as side one player each. Yeah, and maintenance after that. If it only worked like that. You sound like Todd Bowley.
Yeah.
That sounds like the sort of thing he'd be sitting there saying, and they'd be like, yo, Todd, you know how much money that would cost? You go, yeah, man.
That's
500 million, do it.
Yeah, 10-year contract. That was
20-year contract for each. Ray Tay says, let's get Nzonzi,
what a throwback.
Kondogbia, or Schneiderlin. Those are
Jan and Veer.
Those are real throwbacks.
Villa was the big one.
When I was over in Qatar, I met Nzonzi.
Oh, yeah.
Nzonzi is playing for Al Rayyan over there in Qatar. And he was a really, really nice guy. But I can tell you this, his days of the Premier League, even said it actually, because we were joking to him and we were saying, yeah, Nzonzi, we're going to bring you back to England, man. I'll come to play to Arsenal. He said, nah, man, my days, Premier League days, that level's gone. I tell you what, though, he was playing, and obviously the pace of the thing, nowhere near a Premier League game, but he still got it. He still had, spraying the passes around and that.
Who did he play for? I know he played for
Remember, he played for Stoke. He played for Blackburn.
Yeah, Blackburn, Stoke, Sevilla, Roma.
Sevilla he played for. Didn't he win the Europa League at Sevilla? I'm sure he did. Yeah.
They win every year. So
Quality player. One time we were linked with him a lot. You know?
And we needed an
Nzonzi. Hey, a big guy as well.
Yeah.
You know?
Someone said Ndidi. He's not playing at Leicester at the moment.
Yep, Ndidi. Here's one for you. Exodus says Amrabat.
Yeah, looked very good.
He snubbed Liverpool. He wants Atletico Madrid. Looked brilliant in the World Cup. Good on the ball, strong. I liked him. Don't know how much it would cost to do, but Amrabat. There's a capsizer saying Sangara again from PSV. So he's, there's been a couple of shouts for him. I saw a couple of shouts for Seko Fofana as well, I like him as a player, but again, is he a defensive midfielder? He's more, again, a number 8.
I'm no expert. Did he go to the World Cup with France? I think so.
Did he? He's quality, though. I like him. He plays for, is it Lens? But I like Seko Fofana.
Yeah.
We're both getting it. We're both trying to just get
I'm pretty sure.
But I do like him. Good player. Very, very good player. Yeah, see, he's more of a box-to-box central midfielder. Do you know which club he used to play for? Quiz for you. He used to play for in England. Seko Fofana.
Newcastle.
Manchester City.
Did he?
Yeah, he was at Man City.
Well,
but very good player. He signed a new contract. I remember earlier on this season would be I think about 35 million, but I don't think they'd be looking to sell him. Lons having a really good season. They've got a shout for the title out there, so I'd be surprised. Relish says Amrabat from Fiorentina would be perfect. You guys are really sending your suggestions in. Joshua says Edison Alvarez, Kamara, Benatia, Neves or Rice.
They must have this long list, Arteta and Edu, of honestly probably about 20, 30 players that they're just trying to go, he's a better passer than him, but he's more likable than him. But he plays this role, but he plays that. But but he's more likable than that person. They must be trying to wade through it all and then looking. And then the other thing is opportunities. I mean, it's also just, let's put it this way, okay? If Pedri became available tomorrow, and Barcelona just said, yeah, honestly, you can have him on loan. Like we need to sell or whatever. Would Arteta really look at Edu and go, no, don't do that deal?
No, they would get him.
That's what I mean.
I think a lot of clubs. That's why you see a lot of clubs sometimes they've kind of done their business for the transfer window, but they'll say, listen, if something comes up, and those are the type of players they're talking about. If some exceptional talent becomes available. You've got a small window to get it done. You've got to move and get it done. So
I'm glad that the forward thing is sorted. I mean, we don't have to worry about the back four. We've got lots of depth there now. And the whole who do we get now, Mudrik's done. That was dealt with very quickly. I've got to give the club credit because Trossard's in the door now. And you've got, for your front six, you've got Jesus, Nketiah, Saka, Martinelli, Smith Rowe, Trossard to pick from. 6 for 3 positions. Love it, love it, love it. I think they're all good options. Even got Reece Nelson, who's very pacey, quite direct. So they're kind of sorted there. It's just that one midfielder a little bit of an all-rounder who can cover at 6 would make you feel, okay, we can actually compete on 3 fronts. We can look forward to those Europa League ties without feeling like it's going to, slow us down in the Premier League. And I think that's what Arteta wants. He wants to compete on all fronts, but he knows he needs a squad to do it.
Yeah, I think this is going to be, with this El Neni news, it's turned into a really important last few days. It is literally, like you said, James, back to the future where, we had this in the summer where we tried to move for Douglas Luiz, didn't get him, all right, we've not paid the price for that because thankfully, we've not really had much injury to Thomas Partey. But we've got to get in. It's not just cover, it's good cover. It's like somebody who comes in is capable. And remember, as I said, Europa League, hopefully we'll have a little FA Cup run we can get past, What does that do for Friday? Does Partey play now?
No. You know what's so funny? I would have played Partey in this game. Would I? Or El Neni? I think I would have liked to have seen us go full strength. Because I kind of trust El Neni probably more than most. But now El Neni,
strength.
I would have gone near it. But now that El Neni is out, I feel even less inclined to play Partey because there's even more risk to him getting injured. Whereas, do you know what I mean? In a weird way, if they'd both been fit, I'd have been like, yeah, play Partey. Let's go for it. Let's take on City. Now that cover isn't there, I'm thinking you got to wrap him up in cotton wool and make sure he's available for the league. It's a very funny one. So I'd probably go Lokonga, but. Yeah, that does knock my confidence a bit going into Friday, I have to be honest.
Yeah.
I know you're taking comments and super chats, but there was some other news that I thought I'd throw at you. Cedric's off to Fulham. That has all been done and dusted. I know you'd have chat about it on your show this morning.
Yep. The deal is he's going on loan from now till the end of the season, and Fulham are going to pay all his wages. Does, however, mean that he will come back. I mean, because his contract is till 2024, so
okay, so he'll have one more year.
He'll have one more year. So I guess when the summer comes now, Arsenal will be looking to sell him. But yeah, he's moved on, and I guess that's £75,000 a week wages off the wage bill.
I think it's more than that,
I think it's around that. I think it's around £75,000 a week because that was the sticking point, and Fulham didn't want to pay that plus a fee. So, yeah, he's on loan from now till the end of the season. Good move for him. And I think good move for Arsenal as well.
Yeah, I think, wages off the books. He's going to go and actually played a good Premier League side that are having a really good season. So I'm happy for him there.
Yeah.
And I also think Cedric's been a largely decent servant for us, I have to say.
He has. He's been a decent servant for us. Obviously, we've got levels above now. But he's been a good servant for us. And he's been a good Premier League player. I remember before at Southampton he did well. So, and this is another good move for him, playing the Marco Silva, Portuguese compatriot. I mean, it's a good move for him.
Verk says, get João Paulinho from Fulham.
Again,
yeah.
Fulham having a great season at the moment. All right, they had that setback against Tottenham. But, they're in and around the Europa League places. You're not going to sell your best player mid-season. When, maybe in the summer, but no chance now.
Ibukin says, not getting a midfielder this window is unacceptable. We have to spend the money. Okay, so let's play this game. Let's rate the window. Obviously, it's slightly dependent on if we get a player and then who that player is. I mean, if you told me we've signed, some useless midfielder, then I'm not exactly rating it too highly just because we've got a player in. But now, for what we've done now, what would you rate the window?
At the moment? 7. Actually,
I know.
Yeah, is 7 too harsh?
That's why I was referring.
No, maybe at 8. Because all right, what I like about this window is all right. I think it would have been a 9 if we'd have got Mudryk because he was the number 1 target, but we didn't get Mudryk. But we had a plan B, and we moved on that plan B very quickly. Remember, Tottenham were heavily linked with Trossard. And there's definitely truth in that. You can see how they've had to go and get Jandruma now. So I think, I like that Arsenal had a plan B.
Yeah.
And then I also like the fact that out of the blue, they went and signed this Kivora. You read about him, he's very highly rated. And we knew that we don't have a left-sided centre back apart from Gabriel, so that's cover for him. So I think that's very sensible business. So far I give it that. It would have been higher if we'd have landed our number one target. But you don't always have to get your number one targets, because as I said, I was chatting to Lee on the Invincible podcast. Make sure you check that out when that comes out. Last season, our number one target at left back was Lisandro Martinez. We didn't get him. We went for plan B, which was Zinchenko. And he's been incredible. So I'm happy. I'm happy with this window so far.
Yeah, I mean, lots of 6s, 5s, and 8.5.
5?
7's too high, says AL James. 6 from best in the world.
No, it's been a very good window. For January, people have to put it into context as well. Yeah, this is January. That's what it is. I mean, January transfer windows are completely different to the summer transfer windows, right? To get a top player away from his club in January is extremely, extremely difficult. And I think, so a lot of the, I see a lot of targets that people are saying, just go and get Declan Rice. You can't get those players away in January, even if a team's down by the bottom. Let's take for example West Ham, as we're talking about Declan Rice, right? If they sold Declan Rice and they go down, they would have been better off keeping him. Yeah, because they know with Declan Rice they can sell him in the summer. His value's not going to drop. If they sell him for 80 million now, they'll still get the same 80 million in the summer. So number one, that's one reason not to sell him. He's their best player, and they're in a relegation dogfight. So you don't sell your best player. You want your best player to help you stay up, because if you go down, you lose over 100 million. So, this is why players like that are not leaving in January. No chance. So in the context of things, we've taken advantage of the situation with Trossard. Right, so we've been able to get that done, and we've made an early move for Kivor. I think it's been a good January transfer window.
I think what you're saying about Rice and waiting to the summer, I think Casado's the same. Romano's just tweeted about him. 3 clubs are exploring the Casado deal after new agent statement. Chelsea, Arsenal, Liverpool are informed on the situation as revealed on Monday. I just don't think Casado will move in this window. To give it a rating, for me, I'm with you. I think it's an 8. The reason I give it an 8 is because you're so right. You've got to look at the context of everything. Have we added 2 players that I think elevate us and fire us to the title? No, not really. But I think a squad can do that. I think beefing up the squad can give you... Arsenal don't need to set a new standard to win this title. They are 5 points of the game in hand ahead of Man City. Yeah. They got 16 wins from 19 with 2 draws, just the 1 defeat. They're on course currently, if they match what they've done in the first half, to level with the Centurions. It's unreal the level Arsenal are playing that. Yeah. So if you can get players in that can somewhat maintain that and keep it going, which I think a Kivior and a Trossard certainly can do, then fine. And I think in the context of they chased a Mudryk, he clearly looks a very good player. We saw that in his cameo for Chelsea. They tried. They couldn't get it over the line. Chelsea beat them to it, and then they quickly got Trossard done in time to come on and make a difference against Man United. Yeah. Again, we ultimately won. I think you just got to say fair play.
Fair play. Listen, it's been a good window. J Black Africa says, Robbie is wrong. Relegated teams have less negotiating power. In the summer, you're right. In January, as I said, if you're a team and you're struggling, the last thing you want to do is sell your best player. Number one, you're going to have to answer to the fans, right? Those fans are going to be very angry with you. It will make the dressing room more toxic. Number two, as I said, somebody like a Declan Rice, somebody like, I don't know, what other player could you think of a team that's fairly near the bottom? Yeah. But these sort of players will still be worth the same. When it's a top player like Declan Rice, it will still be worth the same money in the summer. So why you'd have to be stupid to sell him now? And
all the money must be unreal. Yeah, like if someone offered 130 million. For Rice,
if somebody coming right now,
I'd probably go. Yeah,
I don't think that. I'm not sure if they take 130 right now.
Really?
Because going down, you lose so much money. I think if somebody came in now and said, "Here's 200 million," Todd Bowley got on the phone and said, "Here's 200 million," then I get it. You might, but if it's 80 million and those sort of, they're not going to sell him right now. They're not going to sell him. So I don't think I am wrong. I'm sorry. I respect your opinion, but I think I'm right. And if I am wrong, then, let's wait and see if Declan Rice goes in January. But I'll tell you, I'll give you £100. He ain't going nowhere in January. Ren says Kepa and Thuram use Pepe in a swap deal. Young Gunner says Frank Kessie or Ndidi, both gettable. Abdullah says, would you like... sorry. Oh, no, I didn't do that one already. So would you like to see Zinni in for Xhaka in the midfield, Tierney, Tomiyasu and Trossard to start as well? Time to test out alternative options before we buy it. I think that he's talking about the game on Friday. The stats are showing that Mudryk has the top speed record in the league. Should we be worried? Well, it used to be Bellerin, didn't it?
Oh.
It used to be.
Wow.
Anton Stack says FCV Mines 05. Good DM. Hi, Robbie. It's Clark Williams, says Mark Williams. He says Clark Williams. Would getting Rice be sweet payback on Chelsea after what they did with Mudryk? Been loving the new fan zone, by the way, which will be returning. I think we might have a fan zone on tomorrow. Fazran says, and thank you very much for that. By the way, on the Mudryk thing, he did look good in that first game.
Yeah, he did, yeah.
Right? But a guy said something very true to me. He said to me, he goes, Robbie, do you remember Pepe's first game?
Yeah.
He goes, at Anfield.
You're gonna say that.
He goes, at Anfield when he run past
Van Dijk,
and first player, and we was all jumping up and down. And he goes, how did that work out? So it is true. Let's wait and see. But he did look a good player. Good. John Ramon says, should have gotten Bruno last January from Lyon. Then we wouldn't be having this problem. Bruno Guimaraes, he would have been perfect.
Perfect. I said this on another show. I think it's forever.
Would have been
I
perfect.
don't know if there's a better profile in terms of ability, readiness, age, and profile of areas he covers. He plays as a 6. He can be an 8. He can even be a creator who's that good on the ball. He was the one. And I got to say,
that's the one that got away out of all of them for me.
Of all the players we missed out on, Rafinha, Lissandro Martinez, Mudryk, Bruno Guimaraes is the one I regret the most for Arsenal, and the one I think I will continue to regret the most. Yeah.
John Ramon also says, go get Locatelli. Juventus having financial problems. What's up with you, your Italian brothers, man? You know what I mean?
My cousins are Inter Milan fans, so I don't know. All I know is that
they're cheating again. You know what I mean?
My cousin did tell me that the way it works in Italy is the 15-point penalty they faced.
They will appeal it, won't they?
They'll appeal it and they could get it back. But the way it works is rather than waiting for a final verdict to take the points off, the points are gone, and they've got to, via appeal, earn them back. So
it's not looking like that appeal is going to be very good when the whole of your board resign. So they know there's a problem.
Paratici's, I think, in some trouble.
Paratici, Tottenham, yeah. Brandon says, does positions matter with Arteta? Look what he's turned Xhaka into. Saka, Zinchenko and White. Yeah, you can do that with some players, but he ain't going to have time to do that right now. We need players going to come in and be a specialist in that position right now. That's my opinion.
I think that's where you're spot on. See with Ben White, he's had a year of football under Arteta. Xhaka has had even more, and they have evolved. We'd seen White have a few games at right back last year. We've seen Xhaka playing a midfield 3, if not quite this box-to-box role, playing some sort of midfield 3 with Partey as the DM. They got accustomed to it. It's a great point. Why couldn't there be a name we haven't even thought about because they play a different position and suddenly Arteta's converted them in a way we didn't expect? But it's that, they've got to be ready now. And I just don't see him finding someone that's a project player. Otherwise, you may as well stick with Lokonga and keep working on him because, I think there's still some potential there. So.
It could come down to that. It could come down to Lokonga's going to have to...
It could, absolutely. We've got to get behind him.
He's got to step up though, James.
No, I agree.
I've not seen enough in Lokonga. I mean, we should not even have, but I've not seen enough in Lokonga to suggest that he can play that position consistently. He looks to me that if you have him in that defensive midfielder position, he'll be targeted. They'll press on him. And but he just don't look that type of player to me.
We often talk about that one game we've lost this season, Old Trafford, and how well we played in that game. And on another day we win that and we were let down. It was Lokonga who played in that game, and I know
one of the goals that was sort of down to him in that
out of position. It fell, and sure I hear that, but I do think, okay, maybe defensively we lose a little bit when he's not there, because Partey has been immense defensively. I know he made a mistake with the Rashford goal, but otherwise he's been brilliant. But I think on the ball, I do think Lukonga's got enough to maybe just keep things ticking. If we're playing a team at home that we're expected to beat, I do think Lukonga you could probably stick in there and actually just keep things moving. But obviously they need to be able to do more than that.
I'm a little worried about him, especially at that position. Maybe if he's playing box to box, but
didn't see enough of him in the Oxford game as an 8.
I think, even in that game,
didn't see enough of him.
I was like, he's very disappointing.
That was when I lost patience.
I think we have to buy. It's going to be, who we buy in that position. I'd loan Lukonga out. But obviously, if we can't get no one in, it is going to be Lukonga, and then we're going to have to get behind him, and hopefully he does the business.
Mm-hmm. Let me ask you about another story that's popped up today. I've got a quote here from journalist James Benge. In the sources via House of Champions. He said, there's a growing expectation at Arsenal that Kieran Tierney could move in the summer. If the right offer came in, all the parties are thinking that this is something that might happen. Right. So, I think with the way Zinchenko's been used at left back, I think we've all quietly known to ourselves probably Tierney might not have a long-term future here because of the way Zinchenko's been used. And then he chose Tomiyasu, when Zinchenko was injured, to play a lot of those games. Then you're looking at Fresnado, who's been linked with a lot.
He's a right back, though, isn't he?
He's a right back who could cover, apparently very good on the ball, who could maybe cover in that area. Cancelo is a right-footed left back. Maybe he's cover for White and Tomiyasu becomes cover left back. It does feel like adding another fullback. Yeah, it just feels like that position is getting more and more tough for Tierney to hold down.
Yeah, listen, I
position in the squad.
I wouldn't like to see us sell Kieran Tierney.
I completely agree. I love him.
Yes, Zinchenko's coming in; he's done brilliantly. But I like Kieran Tierney. I think he's a great team player. I think he never lets us down. I don't want us to sell Kieran Tierney. But do you think we will? I don't know. I think a lot of it's going to come down to him. Like this guy, is it Aragon, says, he goes, Kieran Tierney is a perfect plan B, traditional left back with a killer cross. Another season needed with the Champions League. We've got Champions League football hopefully coming up as well. Nah, don't sell Kieran Tierney. He's a different type of player. Sometimes you need a different type of player as well. And I think defensively he's very strong. He can drop into a back three if needed as well. No, I wouldn't like to see us sell Kieran Tierney.
I couldn't agree more. I would like to keep him just because I think it's really good to have a different option.
Fans love him.
He steps up in big moments in that he doesn't shy away from anything. He's got a wicked cross on it. He's got a wicked strike of the
Scores
football.
goals, something, yeah.
And as an up and down left back, who can stretch a pitch, beat a man, cross into the box, I actually still think there's very few better than him. Certainly in the Premier League, across Europe, sure, you can have your debates. But
I want Kieran Tierney to stay. I want Arsenal to be that team.
I could see Liverpool picking
competition for places right throughout the team, right? So it's him and Zinchenko competing. They get loads of game time. This thing when sometimes, fans are like, yeah, but how's he going to play? Listen, when you're in multiple competitions, you're going to play. Look at Mahrez at Man City. He doesn't play week in, week out, but when he does play, he's devastating, and he's a very important player for them. Hopefully, as I said, we'll have Champions League football next season. There'll be a lot of games in there for Kieran Tierney, both in the Champions League and in the league. For me, I want him to stay. I want Kieran Tierney to stay.
I echo that. I want him to stay. I love his character. I think he is someone that we should all aspire to be like a little bit. Works incredibly hard. He hasn't come out and complained about the lack of game time. You don't see him complaining when he's asked to come on.
He's a team player because he recognises that this is a team game, right? Yeah. And also, Kieran Tierney's not playing at the moment. But who's to say, come the next couple of months, he's the main guy till the end of the season?
Well, look how well Eddie's done. Eddie's done so well that there's an actual debate about whether Jesus even gets back into this team.
Well, I said the other day, for me, when Jesus comes back, if Eddie's still doing what he's doing now, he can't come straight back in, can he? And it seems mad to say because he's our best player, but you got to earn your way back in. I mean, what Eddie's doing at the moment is fantastic.
But the thing is, Arsenal are playing at such a level, and there's now a level of squad depth that someone like Martinelli, for example, I don't think was at his best at all in the North London.
He wasn't.
Certainly against Man United. He's now got to be on it because guess who's waiting? Trossard, Smith Rowe, Gabby Jesus.
Yeah.
They can all play out on the left.
I think he would have played the whole game had it not been now Trossard's come along. And Trossard was part of the goal. You know, he had a big goal contribution in that goal, you know?
Yep.
You know, a lot of people talking about Mudrik's moments when he came on, but Trossard's moment actually led to us scoring the goal. It was his little,
quick feet were
little driving run, laid it out wide, ball comes in, bang.
I said when we signed him that he, not position-wise, but style-wise, he reminds me of Cazorla. Do you get that?
Ooh.
You know, that kind of like, watch him when he plays.
That's a high praise, that is.
Watch his kind of how he dribbles with both feet. I mean, I said this before he got given the number 19 shirt, to be fair. But just next time, just watch him.
No, I do like him.
And I think you'll see what I mean. I've had a few people asking me on Twitter saying,
perfectly suited to Arsenal.
Yeah, I love it. Fantastic bit of business. Well done, Arsenal.
Well done.
Yeah. That's all the news from me. Should we final super chats and comments?
Yeah.
People's final thoughts.
Let's get a couple more comments there. We have a nice left side options with Martinelli outside and Zinni inside. Or we can alternate with Emil Smith-Rowe, Trossard inside with KT on the overlap. Right.
Would you like to come on Tactical Insight? Because that's spot on. That's different options. That's
well, we are looking for a new person on Tactical Insight right now. Breaking news because, you know, there was a certain person on Tactical Insight who kept telling me that, you know, Zinchenko will not be a left back.
What's that?
And will be moved to midfield.
Sorry.
Yeah, you go.
So what would you need?
So maybe we hire you, mate, because you seem to make more sense than this guy who said, you know.
No, nothing. What were you saying, Robbie?
Big up to Alexander Chris, by the way, with that comment. Martin says we're talking about City having depth in their squad. And here we're talking about selling KT. Come on, guys. We need him, and he's a very important player. Same way we're comparing Jesus and Eddie. You are right. Modern day football with Champions League or Europa League, you need a good squad. As I said, at the moment we're playing one game a week. Next few weeks, it's going to be back to that Thursday, Sunday grind, right? With City breathing down our neck, a lot of times playing the day before us. So we need a good squad. And, you know, keep Kieran Tierney 100%, and let's go out there and get ourselves a defensive midfielder if Mohamed Elneny is going to be out for a lengthy amount of time. That's what I say.
Yep, completely agree. Let's see. They're going to be active. Let's just remind you before we leave of Arteta's comments on Elneny. There are some concerns, especially as Mo never complains about anything. But let's see. That's what he had to say when questioned on whether the Elneny injury could be long-term. And on wanting a new midfielder, he said, we need some more covered in midfield, ideally, if we can. But in this market, it is pretty complicated to do that. As I always say, the most important thing is that we get the performances and the time on the pitch that we need with the players and that we have available today that are already really good. So he said it there. We need some more cover in midfield, ideally, if we can. Let's see what happens. I'm sure Robbie will be back tomorrow morning.
I will be back.
Transfer
I'll
Daily.
Be back tomorrow with Transfer Daily.
It will be McKennie, Onana, Zubimendi, Caicedo, Rice. I've got them all written down here. Any others? Do you think?
Might be some new ones.
Maybe some new ones.
You know, I mean, we're looking for midfielders now.
I think a lot of names.
There'll be a lot of names are going to emerge. Yeah.
Honestly.
So make sure you check me out tomorrow.
All right, we'll leave it there. There is an In Focus, I believe, coming out tonight. I won't spoil who it's on because we've got two coming this week. Of course, one will concern a new signing, but another player who is really thriving in the Arsenal team. So look out for those. Forever Arsenal came out as well yesterday. And of course, you've got all the other podcasts. Oh, thank you. I'm glad you enjoyed it.
That Jordan, I'm still not forgiving him for putting Dallo above Ben White, and I will never forgive him. Jordan, if you're watching this, honestly, anyway.
Anyway, like the video if you enjoyed. Go check out all the content on AFTV and do subscribe, because by subscribing to the channel, you'll get updates whenever news comes through. Whenever anything happens, we upload a video, something's happening in the world of Arsenal, we are here to react to it, and you'll get that immediately. So do hit the subscribe button and go check out the AFTV merch. I've got the Air Ramsdale white jumper. This comes as a t-shirt. This comes as hoodie, t-shirt, multiple different colors. Go check the link in the description below and grab yours. Support your players. Get some of those t-shirts ready for summer as well, because you know what, we've got a title to chase. Support your players, get their names on your shirts. All right, we'll leave it there. Big thank you, everyone. We'll catch you on the next one.